name's Todd, and welcome back to the Laundry List. We are getting ready for Christmas. We are close. We're having our holiday party tonight for our company. So Blake, Soraya, and I are going to be heading there after this. We're hoping to get a 20, 30-minute nap in before there. So we're sort of agitated. I got water on my face because I just did a splash in the bathroom and then air drying. Charles isn't here, and that's it. You know, life's good. We're a little bit crazier than we were yesterday. And I just was listening to the last week's guest, which I really liked that episode. Sierra did a great job. I just sent it to her. She was very nervous to listen to it. But today you got Blake, Soraya, and myself. So who knows what we're going to talk about, but I have some ideas. And before we get too deep into it, we are going to read the laundry list.
All right. So this is the laundry list. 1, we became isolated and afraid of people and authority figures. 2, we became approval seekers and lost our identity in the process. 3, we are frightened by angry people and any personal criticism. 4, we either become alcoholics, marry them, or both, or find another compulsive personality, such as a workaholic, to fulfill our sick abandonment needs. 5, we live life from the viewpoint of victims and are attracted by that weakness in our love and friendship relationships. 6, we have an overdeveloped sense of responsibility, and it is easier for us to be concerned with others rather than ourselves. This enables us not to look too closely at our own faults. 7, we get guilt feelings when we stand up for ourselves instead of giving in to others. 8, we became addicted to excitement. 9, we confuse love and pity and tend to love people we can pity and rescue. 10, we have stuffed our feelings from our traumatic childhoods and have lost the ability to feel or express our feelings because it hurts so much. Denial. 11, we judge ourselves harshly and have a very low sense of self-esteem. 12, we are dependent personalities who are terrified of abandonment, will do anything to hold on to a relationship in order not to experience painful abandonment feelings, which we receive from living with sick people who were never there emotionally for us. 13, alcoholism is a family disease, and we became para-alcoholics and took on the characteristics of that disease, even though we did not pick up the drink. 14, para-alcoholics are reactors rather than actors.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So one thing I think we were going to talk about today was about 3.5 years ago, I was doing some work, emotional, spiritual type work. And my friend said, Todd, put in your calendar every day at 6 a.m, make it about them, not about me. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, make it about them, not about me. And he said, most of your anxiety and worries and like stress and control issues will go away if you just focus on other people, get to know other people, ask them questions about who they are, find out about their lives, see how you can help them, and stop stressing and worrying so much about your life, whether it's business, relationships, whatever it is. And so I've had that in my calendar every day for the last probably 3.5 years. And I haven't done really much about it, except it's in there every day and I look at it. So, you know I've gone days where I've tried to really play that out, because I know when I was going through my divorce, I was stressed about money and, going through the divorce with the financial piece. And I was like just freaking out about everything. And he would say, Todd, just make it about them, not about you. And when I would try that for a day, it's amazing how much better my day went. Like, the rest will work itself out. Let's see if I can help somebody else out today.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that saying?
Yeah, I think personally and in business, I think Chris Voss, who's an FBI negotiator. He was a negotiator he now runs the Black Swan Group. He talks about tactical empathy and being able to view the world through the person that you're interacting with, lens. And I think it helps me in business, but more so personally, that when I make it about them, not about me, it takes all the anxiety away. That her getting frustrated, her saying something, it's not about me, it's about her and what's going on with her day-to-day life that I have, no idea about.
Soraya, what do you think about that saying?
I think it's actually just more of a question. Where do you draw the line between making it about them and trying to fix their problems?
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, this is about like getting out of the obsession of trying to fix my life and make it better. You know, getting her to stay, making sure the money is enough, like all that stuff. So literally, like, I'm not even trying to rescue anybody. I'm just like, for a brief moment, trying not to think about myself and trying to like, how are you doing? Tell me about you. What's going on with your kids? What's going on with I heard your mom was sick. What's happening with her? Like, I just got a call from a friend of mine who's going through some serious health issues an hour ago, and just trying to focus on him for like 20 minutes was hard because I got so much shit going on. I'm thinking about all the stuff I got going on. Well, I got to do this. I got to do that. I'm looking at my phone while I'm talking to him. I'm like, wait a minute. Let's give this guy 20 minutes of attention and hear about a life or death issue he's going through, and not try to like check my stocks and do a text while I'm driving and talking to this guy. And it's amazing how just hard that is. Like, put the device down, put, your eyes down, and just focus on what you're doing in the moment and not be distracted. And I just love, I heard a podcast this morning with this guy, Alex Ferrari. It was a phenomenal podcast. And he was talking about putting the device down during the day. Like when you're on your laptop or your computer, put your device down, meaning your phone, and just focus at the task at hand, period. And it's amazing how hard that is. So hard, because you're like, oh, I got a notification. Oh, I got a text. I got an Instagram notification, whatever it is. And it's like, I got to see what's happening right now. And those social media and cell phone devices create so much anxiety, because can you imagine not checking your cell phone for 48 hours, just 48 hours? Just think about the anxiety that brings up. Like, no big deal. 2 days. No cell phone whatsoever. I mean, what do you guys think? Does that bring up any anxiety at all, or no?
I mean, yes, but that's also because I work for you.
But if it wasn't business, like I said, Soraya, you don't need to check your cell phone for 2 days outside of business.
Right. Yeah, no, that would bring me a lot of anxiety.
And then we peel back the onion more. Like, what is that? What is that anxiety that entails with not checking your phone for 2 days? Not responding to someone, not seeing who's liking your post, if a lot of it's just habitual. It's just habitual. Habit. It's like, oh, I got nothing to do. Like, I was talking to a friend of mine this morning. He's like, yeah, half the time I'm on my cell phones because I'm bored, period. I'm just bored and I got nothing else to do. So let's go on the cell phone and just like space out.
Yeah, most of the time I'm not even texting anybody,
right.
Like talking to
You're
anybody.
Just like looking at stuff,
Should we do flip phones for a month, you and I?
Yeah, I had a flip phone.
We'll go to Circle K and buy some flip phones.
One of the track phones?
Yeah, track phones.
Well, I made a commitment to my friend this morning that when I go to Virginia in about a week, I'm going to, from Virginia really to the end of the year. So for the next 2 weeks, starting this coming weekend, I'm going to really try not to be on my phone and just check it once or twice a day for, text or emails. And I remember my ex-wife used to take my phone for a week, a year. Every year she'd take it for a week. And I would be like, this is no big deal. And the first day or two, I would be in panic. Oh my God, I'm missing a text. I'm missing a call. I'm missing a tweet. And it's like, after a day or two of like detoxing off it, I'm like, oh, I actually feel way more in the moment, way more relaxed, way more like present, way more focused on what I'm doing. And I loved it. But then I get back into my, doing cocaine and getting it back. And I'm like, oh, give it back to me, But I did it, no problem, every week for years. And it was no problem. But now it's like, if I can't find my phone after like 10 minutes, I'm like freaking out. Where's my phone? Where's my phone? Where my wife, Alex, she'll go like a whole day without knowing where her phone is. She's like, oh shit, was my phone up there? She has no idea. I'm like, that gives me anxiety to not know that she doesn't even care where her phone is for like a day or two.
Right.
I'm like, I know where my phone is 24/7. Of course, I work a lot on my phone, but a lot of it's boredom and habit. And my friend this morning was asking me, what else do you do when you're bored? I'm like, well, take naps. I sleep and take naps. I watch TV. I play music. I'll play my guitar or drums. Did a lot of that this weekend. I'll be on DraftKings, doing a lot of that on the weekends when I'm bored. I used to do a ton of social media, but I don't do that anymore. I'll take walks. I started walking around my neighborhood with my dog. So he was like, tell me, list 20 things that you do when you're like bored, or you just scrolling on your phone aimlessly and just checking out. And did you do that as a kid? Like when you were super stressed and super anxious about life or a test or a girl, or your parents yelling at you, or your parents ignoring you, did you just daydream and space out? And I'm like, absolutely. I mean, I did that a ton. And he goes, you're doing the same thing. You're doing the same thing as an adult. You're just finding a way to escape. So what do you guys think about that, all that content?
I'm sorry, I had lost my train of thought.
You're spacing out.
I do that. No, that's exactly what I do. And it's something that I've had trouble with. And so spending more time with my friends, that's what I've been making an effort to try and do, because I tend to isolate in relationships. So now that I'm out of my relationship, I'm making an effort to hang out with my friends and get closer with my friends. And the hardest thing to do is stay off my phone while I'm with my friends, because it's rude. It is. But I will catch myself just looking at my phone and there's nothing going on. I'm just looking at it just habitually every 5 minutes. And that is really hard. And I think it is kind of a dissociation thing, because it's
also kind of rude when you think about it.
Yeah.
Like my
Super
mom
rude.
and dad never take their phones when they go out to dinner, out. And I'm always on my phone, and my kids are always on my phone. And my mom's like, can you guys get off your phone? And we're like, oh, that's just Grammy being Grammy. But it's true.
Right.
It's like rude.
It is.
You're talking to someone, and the guy's like looking on his phone.
Yeah.
It's like, do you care at all what I'm saying? Are you paying attention?
Yeah. And when I do it, it's never intentional, but you're right. It is rude. And so I've been making a conscious effort to stay off my phone when I'm with my friends. And it is really hard, because even when I'm alone, I'm just on my phone. And I think about all the things that I could accomplish if I just wasn't. Like, I have 15 something books on my bookshelf that I have not read, because I would rather just watch TikToks.
At least it's only 15. I mean,
Right.
I got 50 that I haven't read that I bought that I really want to read.
Right.
Like I really do.
Well, even the book that Alex gave me, I've been dying to read it. I'm really looking forward to it, but it's picking up that book, because I sit on my couch and I scroll through TikTok, and I'm just by myself. And then if I'm bored from watching TikToks, I'll just go to bed.
Yeah, take a nap.
Yeah.
All right, so that you just gave me a brilliant idea. How about we don't take our phones in to dinner tonight? We leave them in the car.
Okay.
Can we do that?
Yeah, let's do
easy.
it.
I'll text Perry, and Alex won't care. She probably won't bring her phone. And I'll tell Bond. It'll be hard for Bond.
Oh, are we bringing Bond? I'm excited.
Oh, Bond's not coming. What am I
Wait,
saying?
well, you can bring
no,
Bond.
Bond's not coming. It's
Nick.
Nick.
Yeah.
We'll tell Nick not to bring his phone. And text Nick, tell him not to bring.
I'll
So let's
text.
have a little.
The one thing that I did when I was
You got to start somewhere. Right?
we got to start somewhere. But the one thing that I did when I was down in Mexico for Thanksgiving is I turned notifications off on my phone. So, because I think I caught myself that when my phone buzzes or something, then it's like, oh, what is it? Like it's all excited, like, oh, somebody's talking to me. They think I'm cool enough to text or email or whatever. But not having the notifications, it's almost like I get to take the control back. Like the device is beeping and buzzing at me is like I'm its master. It's like how high it buzzes, you react. Where if you turn that all off, it's like, oh, it's on my terms, which kind of helps.
And my friend was asking me this morning, talk about the emotions and the feelings you get when you do these different things. Talk about the feelings and emotions you get when you're on DraftKings and you're watching a game, you're checking the score, you're seeing. And then he goes, tell me the feelings you get when you're scrolling through Instagram and looking at these girls and these pretty girls, or texting these pretty girls. What's the feeling? And what's the feeling you get when you don't get a Snapchat back from somebody? And he's asking me all these questions. And the funny thing is, it's the exact same feeling I would get and why I would drink. I would get super anxious, scared to talk to a girl, scared to go into a social situation, scared to deal with a situation that's stressful and take it head on as an adult. I would drink, and the drinking would calm me down, and it would make me smooth things over. And then I would be able to function. But all these other things create that anxiety and that stress and that fear and that adrenaline that I used to drink over, and the drinking would help and calm me down. Now I'm looking for other ways to create that anxiety and that stress and that fear, whether it's not having her phone, not getting a Snapchat back. I remember I dated this girl after I got separated, and she put me on Snapchat, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. I started, and she was like the main person I was snapping with. And it's like, she wouldn't get back to me. Like, I mean, I would send her a snap, and it's like, she wouldn't get back to me soon enough. And it created so much anxiety. Oh my God, what's she doing? She doesn't like me. She's bailing on me, you know? I mean, and I just realized what a needy fuck I was back then, you know? Yeah. But I'm like, okay, take me off. I hate this. And literally I went off and never went back on. Like, I'm like, this is not good for me.
The main way to get a hold of me is Snapchat. And the reason that I do that is because you can see when the person's read it. So you know when they've seen it and when they've opened.
A lot of times you can.
Right. But you can turn your read receipts off on Messenger. You can't do it on Snapchat. So like you can half swipe a chat, but if you send pictures, they have to open it. They have to see it. And you know when they see it.
But what if you see it and you don't respond? That creates more anxiety.
Right. No, it absolutely does. But I think the reason that I do that is because I need to know if they've seen it.
So what happens when they see it and like a day goes by and they're not responding? Do you just like, fuck this? Like,
yeah,
or do you
it really depends on the person.
But if you're like expecting a quick response,
yeah.
Will you hit them up again?
Yeah, generally. Yeah. Because, most of the time I only text people or message people if I need something or I'm trying to make plans with them. I don't have conversations with people. So yes, if I get left on red, it makes me anxious and angry and annoyed.
Yeah. So that just goes back to the whole thing of this conversation this morning of like, what else do you do in your life that's creating anxiety, adrenaline, fear, you know, just that restlessness? And what are you doing on the other side of that calms you down, that makes you feel peaceful and slow? And it's literally, I can make a list of 20 things on the left side that just gets me spun out and restless and irritable and totally like anxious. And I can make a list of 20 things on the right side that make me calm and make me like just serene. And it's amazing how I just tilt myself towards the left side. Like, give me more of this. And it's just like cocaine or just like any speed related caffeine, nicotine, drugs, it makes you jacked up. And it's that same feeling. DraftKings, social media, you know, checking your stocks, checking anything that's going to create that emotion.
Do you think you could go a week without checking your stocks?
I think I can for sure. Will I? I mean, I need accountability. So if I tell you, Blake, I'm not going to check my stocks for a week, then I can become accountable. Now, is that realistic and smart? Probably not, no. But I can make a decision. I will check my stocks in the morning when they open for news, because I mean, I'm a fundamental investor, and then I could check them when they close. So can I check them for 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes on the close? Yes. Is that going to be hard? And will I have withdrawals? Yes. What am I going to do with those withdrawals and that time? Probably become passive aggressive and become meaner to people around me, and you know, just pick on other people and you know. Or I can go to the right side of that ledger and say, oh, maybe I'll take a walk. Maybe I'll journal. Maybe I'll meditate. Maybe I'll pray. Maybe I'll do my gratitude list. Maybe I'll call somebody who's in the hospital right now. My buddy Ron's in the ICU. Maybe I'll go sit with him, read him a book. He's incubated, so he doesn't know what's going on. You know, maybe I'll go to the right side of the ledger and find things that are going to calm me down.
Yeah.
You know, but it's amazing how I want to tilt towards that left.
For sure.
You know?
I mean, I do that same thing with just like, I will purposefully, I think sometimes when Danielle gets home, I'll purposefully stay on my phone because I know it's going to make her mad. So I can like some weird way, like her getting mad at me, like is so I can get that shame hit of like, you know, whatever sick, you know, thing that is. But I'm really trying to, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a flip phone, because I think that way it's just people can call me. You can get it
with the same number?
Yeah.
You get a flip phone with the same number?
Yeah.
Okay.
So people can call me, I can text, but then, you know, if it's just all the other stuff that the stupid games on my phone and the stupid, Instagram,
Alex has been playing
TikTok,
some
and
game on her phone, and she'll
it's-
go hours.
oh yeah.
Blake's always
hours.
been big on the games. Blake's gotten me into a couple of games when I was working at Nissan, but he's always been big on the
Yeah,
phone
like
games.
and that's like what I used to do as a little kid.
It gives you
As a little kid,
for sure.
Mhm.
You know, numb out for hours playing,
Yeah.
the stupid Game Boy games of like whatever it was.
And I've watched my kids grow up with these phones and devices attached to them, and I used to observe it, not as a parent, but just like it as an observer. And it was like amazing how I watched them have very difficult ability to interact and become intimate with their friends because they're on their phone so much.
Yeah.
So there was live contact with them, but it was at a very minimum. It was de minimis. It was not meaningful. And it was like from a distance because their phone was their main primary form of intimacy. And the individual, when they got together, it wasn't as like real. And I just wonder, like tonight, when we go and leave our phones in the car, are we going to be more attentive? Are we going to be paying attention more?
For sure.
Are we going to
It'll
feel
probably
more
be-
alive?
It'll
Like,
probably be the best dinner we've had all year.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm
So
looking forward to
let's
it.
tell Perry and Deanna. I mean, Perry will probably have a hard time like me. He's
Right.
addicted to his phone. But let's tell them what we're doing.
Mhm.
And obviously Alex won't have a problem with it. And let's see if we can have a nice dinner without the cell phones.
Yeah, this will be interesting. It's
You
like
know.
a social experiment.
Totally. And like Thanksgiving, when we played that game and we were all into it and no one was like busy on their cell phones or
Mhm.
distracted, it was fun.
It was a
You
really
know?
good time.
A really good time. And there's a lot of those good times to be had if we're not completely distracted with DraftKings or Instagram or porn or whatever it is, whatever we're doing.
And it's like this is funny, and I just realized that like some of the best, most intimate conversations I've had with Danielle are when I'm driving, because I can't, like, I won't text and drive, especially if she's in the car. So it's like my full on attention is like obviously driving, but there's no outside distraction. So I'm excited to see how that plays out.
Is she giving you that same attention since she's in the passenger seat? Does she stay
Oh
on
yeah,
her phone
for
as
sure.
well?
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is good because I didn't know where this podcast was going to go, but it sounds like the intention of this podcast is to hold us accountable, this three here at the table, of trying to become more intimate in the moment and peaceful with not having this device own us
Mhm.
and chain to
Yeah, I
us.
think I have an idea for a restaurant concept now.
Where
you
have to
check your phone
They
in at
have
the
those
door.
in New York.
Oh, they do?
Yeah. And they also give you a box sometimes where you can lock it,
Yeah.
and they give you a phone box and you can put the phones in and lock it on the table.
That's cool.
They have those in New York.
That's nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that one of the bigger things in helping you get off your phone, because I find that a lot of the time that I spent on my phone in general was because I didn't have hobbies. I didn't have a lot of hobbies. And I know so many people who just don't have hobbies. They enjoy watching TV, hanging out with friends, but they don't have an outlet, So I think that having hobbies is important, and it's been important in my healing. So like I've taken up boxing and I've taken up painting, and those things I wasn't doing a year and a half ago. So I think that's taught
And
me
it
to
takes
stay
you
off
off
my
your
phone
device.
less. Yeah,
Like
exactly.
when you're painting or boxing, you're not attached to your phone. It's not chained to you,
Mhm.
And that hour is super important. Like a lot of people say, I go, what do you get out of meditation? And they're like, honestly, not a ton, but I'm not on my phone for an hour or a half hour.
Yeah.
I'm just not attached to it.
Yeah, I think just being any hobbies in general are a good outlet. Like for me, I've been just walking with Ralph and just being like present, I think is really important, just to like almost let your brain reset. Because if you're just constantly, from one phone call to one text to one email to one, YouTube video to, video games, it's like your brain doesn't ever get to like reset. And I've noticed like it directly impacts my sleep. Where
Yeah, totally.
if I'm
Impacts your
100%
sleep.
on my phone for 12 hours and then I'm like laying in bed and it's like, oh, let's just go back to the crack.
So I went to this 3-day seminar or retreat, whatever you want to call it, in Mexico when I was separated with this retreat called Dr. Glover and psychiatrist or psychologist. And, you know, there was no phones the whole weekend. So you couldn't bring your phone to this retreat. So that was the first thing. The second thing is he tried to teach us to have dominant, direct eye contact during conversations and how uncomfortable that is. So it was all men. Actually, was it all men? Yeah, it was all men. It was all men at this retreat. Yeah. And we would have to sit with someone we didn't know, we just met, and have a conversation without looking away. You could blink, but you'd have to stare at them while you were talking. And it just showed how everyone gets super uncomfortable and intimidated, and like they just want to look away and they want to look at their phone and they want to change the topic. And when they start getting like vulnerable, like they really want to look away and look at their phone and do something else. And it's just, we're so bred like that. And he was trying to show us, like, don't be afraid of it. Lean into it. Like, lean into it. And it was just an interesting exercise.
Yeah.
That's actually really funny because I know this, he's a, what are those things called? I lost the word for it. He's an acupuncturist. And I've met him a couple times, and he has the most intense eye contact I've ever seen. And he will look at you the entire time that he's speaking, but it's so comforting. There's like,
it's not intimidating. It's soothing. Yeah,
it is. And so because of him, that's something that I've actively been trying to work on. Cause even with my phone, if I'm like recording myself, I don't look directly into the camera. So I don't look in people's eyes. I don't look into cameras. Like, it's just something that I have trouble with. So I've been actively working on trying to keep eye contact with people, because that connection is
very important.
It is.
Yeah. And I think that's a big part of building intimacy and trust and safety and warmth. You know, somebody that's always looking away, always on their phone, always like, you know, eyes are spinning. It's like, oh, do I really trust them? Do I really, you know, feel comfortable? And, you know, the answer is no. But a lot of times it's, you spot it, you got it. Like, I'm totally intimidated and freaked out by this person. I hate this person, but really I do that. I'm the one doing that.
Yeah.
You know, so I love that you spot it, you got it. Like, and everything's a mirror. Like, I mean, I thought the finale of White Lotus was on last night.
So good.
Did you watch it?
Yeah.
And did you see the father, the father, the son, and the grandson
all turn in the security line?
And I'm just laughing. I'm like, me, my dad, and Grayson, like the same thing. You know, it's like it's just so good.
We all turn. The grandfather turns, then the dad turns, and the son turns.
That's a great show, by the way. And encourage everybody to watch that, because there's just a lot of parallels to the work we try to do here and what we talk about on how we try to feed our egos with material things, with beauty, with, you know, trying to look better than we are, trying to act like we have more money than we are, all these things. And when those things drive you, the length that you will go to get them and keep up the facade.
Yeah, it's just like
to where it's like you're going to die.
It's like the two married couples. The one guy, he's pretending like he's way bigger than he really is,
and the other guy's
a you know,
and he's trying to be humble,
and he's or he doesn't think that
he deserves it.
Yeah, he deserves it, and he's insecure. And then you got the two wives, the one that's just uptight and you know, super rigid and, you know, obsesses about everything. And then you got the other extreme, which is, you know, she knows her husband cheats on her and, like, you know, does all this stuff, and she's just like, oh, pure bliss, like, it doesn't matter. It's like the two complete juxtapositions. You know, it's like, which one's better? I mean, you know,
I was
neither.
I was talking to a friend of mine today, and I just found out today that I'm invested in a company that, I mean, I know I'm invested in this company, but one of the other investors in this company that I just found out today is FTX Ventures, the venture arm of FTX. And I didn't know that. And I'm like thinking, you know, everyone put this guy in a pedestal for so long, the last 5 years. Like, this is the guru of cryptocurrency. And at the end of the day, we're all full of shit. None of us know more than the other person. Yeah. The guys driving the big jets and the, you know, the palatial estates, they're no smarter, or, I mean, they're either at the right place at the right time, luckier, or they're fraudsters, you know? Yeah. And it's like, we think we're like, oh, look at me, look how smart I am, look how much stuff I have. But at the end of the day, we're all full of shit, and it all gets recycled. I say, like, they all round trip. And it's like, you just have enough to have a comfortable life, and the rest is just for show. I think that was a quote in Forrest Gump. Yeah. Like, you have enough that you need, and then the rest is just for show and for ego. And that just separates you more from your fellow man and from your friends.
And it's so funny how these talking heads on the media went from singing his praises to the complete opposite on a spin of a dime. Right. And it just shows you, like, those guys don't know anything, Right. You got Kevin O'Leary saying this guy's the greatest guy. He's the next Elon Musk, and this and that. Now he's saying, oh, he stole.
Everybody should have known.
Everybody should have known you stole from him, and it's just.
No, I think the last, let's call it from 2012, right? So 10 years. This last 10 years has created such enormous wealth from this last boom, technology, real estate boom, that everyone thinks they're a genius. Everyone thinks they're smarter. Everyone thinks they're, highly intellectual. And really, at the end of the day, it's being at the right place at the right time, the right cycle. And a lot of people got it from fraud. I mean, I watch American Greed religiously, and I'm just fascinated by how people come up with ideas to scam other people or the system.
Yeah, all the guys with the PPP that were. Yeah. That's
an ERC now.
It's all coming
and crypto, and it's like, and even in just normal business. I mean, there's so much fraud in just the regular business world. So
it's like, and it's the crazy thing is the explosive growth has created people where they in order to feel like they're successful, they almost need to have this like growth that is so unsustainable that it creates this fraud, right? Because there's no way that this growth is sustainable. And I like what Warren Buffett says. You get, if you look at your investment decisions like a used car that you're going to buy, right, and you only get 5 your whole entire life, you're going to get slow quick. The get rich quick, it's just all these crypto boys and
Yeah, I just got back from South Beach, Miami, and and it's
credit card scammers, and
and on the plane ride there. Speaking of credit card scammers, I watched that movie with Aubrey Plaza, where she's a credit card scammer and a professional credit card scammer. Yeah. She started at the bottom and then she worked her way all the way to the top and started her own scamming service. And it's just, Miami reminded me, like, walking around and saying all these like brand new Rollses and Bentleys and Lamborghinis and just everywhere. And I'm like, where is all this money coming from? But a lot of this money is everything you see is what they got, and it's not like, these are people with $100 million in the bank. These are people that with everything they got, plus some loans, are going in their car, their watch, their penthouse. And it's like, they can't afford it. And the first downturn that, comes is like, it's done. All that stuff's going back.
Yeah.
Like my old friend, Tony Silverman, used to say, Todd, he told me this in my early 20s, because I started to think I was smarter and than everybody else. And he's like, Todd, just remember, money always returns to its rightful owner. We're just renting this shit. It's just we're just renting this stuff. So don't get the ego, let the ego get a hold of you. Just be humble. Yeah, it's just enjoy it for the moment.
Grew up playing golf at Mountain Shadows with these guys, and one of them was a professional gambler, and he told me as a little kid, he said, "Hey, Blake, I want you to remember, gambling money has no home." Right? It's like it has no home. It's easy come, easy go, and it doesn't belong to you. It's the same thing.
Yeah. So that's going back to that Forrest Gump quote. It's like, hey, you have a nice life, have nice house, drive a car that's dependable, give some money to charity and your friends, and like the rest is just for showing off.
Yeah. And it's I catch myself fantasizing about like living a very simple life, like on a beach somewhere with just no responsible, just, doing whatever I want to do that day. Right. But
read a book, take whatever, a nap, walk the dog,
people watch, hang out, and it's like this social media has conditioned us that we need to have, in order to be successful, you need to have 3 houses, one by the beach, one by the mountains, one in, whether it's LA or Scottsdale or whatever, you got to have the 3 cars, you got to have the 2.5 kids, you got to be able to have the jet. It's like all this stuff. And it's like,
well, look at all the most popular reality shows.
Yeah.
Selling Sunset, Kardashians. Like it totally promotes and condones that kind of lifestyle. Like if you want to be hip and cool and like popular, because everyone wants to be the popular kids from the time they're in 4th grade to the time they die. And it's like, well, you want to be that, then guess what? This is what you got to do. And I'm watching the Kardashians are selling Sunset, and I'm like, for a minute, I'm like, oh, that is kind of cool. Like, check that out. And then after a while, when you really digest the content, you're like, oh man, I feel bad for them.
Yeah, there's some sad, lonely people. I mean, I know a couple guys that probably have all that stuff, and they're probably the most miserable people on the face of planet Earth.
Right.
Lonely, afraid, don't have any real friends, don't have a purpose, and are just, on the outside, they have everything that you've ever could want, but I wouldn't necessarily switch places with them.
So I have my friend Morris, Morris.
Yeah, of course.
My good friend Morris, who's going to come on this podcast. And I've introduced him to some pretty wealthy people and successful people, but Morris is a different cat. And Morris, like some of the first questions he'll ask them, he's like, so tell me, what do you think the best part of your life is? And then, like kind of throw him off a little bit. Like, well, what do you mean? Like, probably when I sold my company or whatever they say. And then he'll say like, what do you think the highest emotional period of your life was? And what made you really emotional about it? And then he'll say, like, what was your relationship with your dad like? And these are people he just met for the first time. Yeah. And to watch some people absolutely malfunction like a computer or a robot, it's amazing. They'll just like, they don't even know how to respond. They're like, I don't know what you mean by that. Like they just can't handle it. But for people like us that do the work, that dig under the covers, that don't mind getting emotional and vulnerable, like we love talking about this stuff. It's second nature. But for people that are just robotic in their job, their parenting, their whatever it is, it's like they don't know how to think emotions, to think intimacy, to think what's the real answer there, not the canned answer that people want to hear. Oh, how's it going today? Oh, it's going great. Even though 2 nights ago I was thinking about killing myself, but how's it going? Oh, it's going great. Like I've had friends that actually tried to kill themselves, like attempted suicide. And when people asked them that day, they said that they were doing great. It's like, really? You actually tried to commit suicide that day? Like you actually slit your wrist, or you actually jumped off a bridge, and people asked you that morning and you said, I'm doing great. Yeah. Because you don't want to expose that you're really not doing good, and you're hurting.
The facade, right?
You're hurting, and I need some help.
Yeah.
I need a little love. I need you just to be here by me, sit by me. Yeah. So I watched that show called The Bridge on Netflix last week about all the people 2013 that jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge. And they actually interviewed the families and showed footage of them before they jumped. So they basically had a camera that showed the footage of the bridge for 1 year straight. And they watched the people and how people would talk to these people. Like, wait, what are you doing on the other side of the railing? Okay, come back over here. And they actually had all the footage of this. And some of the people, same thing. Oh, I'm doing fine. I'm just getting a view. I just like it on this side of the bridge. Yeah. And they all jumped they actually all jumped. Every single one of them jumped. The one guy that lived. And he said
it as soon as he jumped.
The minute he jumped, he regretted it. He's like, why did I do this? Yeah. And now he's alive and super grateful. And,
he's a motivational speaker.
Yeah. He's like changed his life. So I thought that was a very eye-opening show, and just shows you that how self-pity and feeling different and feeling alone can get you to the place where you're going to jump off the Golden Gate Bridge. And a lot of times it's for attention. A lot of times it's because you can't handle the uncomfortable feelings of the anxiety and feeling so alone. And that one guy, I remember, with long hair, that, like, I truly believe like that guy had so much to give to the world, but he was like almost like stuck on being this outcast who was looking for attention, looking for like the problem. Like his identity became like the problem. Like no one will hire me. No one likes me. No one's going to fall in love with me. He was the identity of like the Debbie Downer. That was his like identity.
Yeah, and I think one of the unique things about us and being able to talk about feelings or whatever is that I think we know that there's a lot more people that aren't okay versus okay. And I think a lot of people that don't have this stuff just go through life thinking everyone else's life is perfect, and their feelings of doubt or despair or being alone are unique, right? And we know that they're absolutely not, right? And that, as I don't know who says that. I'm glad we're not all crazy on the same day.
Yeah, I like that saying, because we're there for each other. We're there for each other. I am talking to some folks now that are going through some hard shit, and I've been through some hard shit, and they were there for me. And it's like it says in the Bible, iron sharpens iron, man sharpens man. And it also says in the Bible, I learned this today, 365 times in the Bible, it says, don't be afraid. It's the only saying that's repeated over 200 times. And it says, don't be afraid 365 times in different verses of the Bible. And it's amazing. Like if we take one thing away from the Bible and just those 3 words, like don't be afraid, period. Don't be afraid. It's all going to be okay.
Yeah.
And even death is going to be okay.
Yeah. And how many different,
because we're all going to die.
We're all going to die. It's like,
no one's getting out of it.
How many wars and, genocides have been just based solely on fear, right? And whether it's the fear of
control is
control,
fear.
yeah.
When you peel back control, it's all fear.
Yeah,
fear that I'm not going to look good, I'm going to look bad. You're going to take my girl, my land, my kingdom, whatever it is.
Yeah, or that this other group is going to encroach upon our group, so let's be fearful and use fear as a control tactic.
Yeah,
and I think one thing that Richard has brought to my attention is how much the decisions or my thoughts are rooted in that fear, right? Whether it's fear of being alone or fear of not being good enough, or because it all comes down to I'm deeply insecure, right? And I have been my entire life. I've always been trying to prove myself to somebody or something or win some approval in it. And now I'm not perfect. I still do it. But at least when I'm doing it, I can recognize like, oh, this is me approval seeking, right? And that's at the end of the day.
And recognize it's the first step.
Yeah. And
that's the first step. It's like, oh.
And I slowly feel my self-confidence building, right? And I don't know if this is just happenstance, but I was at dinner and I was like, wow, people aren't as pretty as I remember them, right? And it's just, I don't think so lowly of myself that all these other people are so much more attractive than I am.
The awareness is amazing.
It's like,
the awareness is half the battle right there.
It's just all perspective.
I went, what do you call it? I went to Pilates yesterday with Alex, and it's me, Alex, and 4 other women. I'm the only man there. It's my first time at Pilates. And like everyone's quiet, doing their thing, focusing and being me. I start like cracking jokes and, trying to make people laugh and like, okay, how's the timing of this joke going to go? Like, and they're eating it up. They're like laughing and like blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, I feel better about myself. Where if it would have been crickets and dead silence, I'm like, oh, I don't like this place.
I'm never coming back.
Never coming back here.
They're so mean.
Yeah, that's not fun. Core power is way better, you know?
I know they love you at boxing too for the same reason.
Oh boy. Yeah. So anyway, anything else to add? I guess we talked about a lot of things, but tonight is truly going to be an exciting test for us to not have our cell phones at the dinner table and see if we can have direct, intimate conversations with eye contact and see how that goes. So we got to tell everyone phones in the car. We'll see if Perry does it. That'll be an interesting question for him. But yeah. Anything else, guys, before we end it?
No, I think we're all good.
All right.
Be nice to my friend.
That was a great episode. And thank you. The audience agrees. And we're going to see you next week. Well, actually, next week, we will be here next week, right?
Yeah, we'll be here.
The week after, we won't be here. Right. But next week, we will be here for the pre-Christmas laundry list. And again, if you want to come on the laundry list, if you have comments, please rate us, give us comments, or email us if you would like to come on the show and be our guest.
Actually, if you want to reach out to us on Instagram, it is the Laundry List Podcast. Again, that is just spelled out, the Laundry List Podcast.
We'd love for you to come on. A lot of our guests we have met through either online or through just our daily life. And we would love to hear your story on the laundry list. So have a great week, and we will see you next week.